Hello guys, how are you doing? I'm doing fine over here, and in today's video I want to discuss on a very important point based on some questions that I received from some of you. So welcome back to Verified. So if you're new, as usual, consider subscribing and liking the video. But if you're a returning one, I appreciate your support, your subscription, and liking the videos. Let's dive directly into the video. So this topic has been so much disturbing to many people, many applicants, about the work experience qualification in the green card lottery application. Today I want to break it down to you and try as much as possible to explain it clearly to you that you may not remain confused anymore. So right on the screen, as you can see, I want to go through the requirements or the qualification of the applicant of the diversity visa lottery or the green card lottery. The principal applicant has to have qualified in the following ways. Number one, the principal applicant or the applicant of the DV lottery must be coming from the country that is eligible. The country of birth of the applicant should be eligible for application. Number two, you can also claim chargeability of a country of your spouse. So it's not necessarily that you be born in a country that is eligible. You can as well marry a spouse that comes from a country that is eligible and then claim chargeability of your spouse. That is the first requirement. The second requirement of the applicant is that he or she must have met the education qualification or the work experience qualification, either of the two. And then you can find all this information when you follow this link here from the state.gov website. Then you'll get all this information. And down here I have an excerpt from the laws that pertains diversity visa immigration, and it's just a repetition of what I've discussed, and it is under this INA 203C, and it says the alien must, or the applicant must, be a native or chargeable to a country that is eligible. Number two, the alien or the applicant must have at least a high school education or the equivalent of the high school education. And thirdly, the alien or the applicant must or should have, at least within the past 5 years, he or she must have had at least 2 years of work experience in an occupation that requires at least 2 years of training or experience. So if you don't have the high school education or its equivalent, 2 years experience of work within the past 5 years. So that is what the law requires. And on this work experience, we shall go deeper into it in a moment. So during the interview, for you to pass, for you to succeed, you should have filled your DS260 listing all the qualifications, be it the education qualification or the work history qualification. You should have listed them very well in the DS260 form. Number 2, for you to succeed in the interview on the education basis, you should provide the relevant education proof of the education. Make sure you prepare yourself with the certificates. But if your qualification is under the work experience, then this is what you'll do. You'll take a copy or a printout of this website that we call ONET. This website we shall see in a moment. So you take a printout of your job or similar role from the ONET. So you print out the page that describes your work from this website. Then you arm yourself with all these documents: resume or the CV, hire letters, those letters that you are hired, company references, pay slips. So if you arm yourself with all these documents, then you'll be good to go. And then thirdly, you must organize that well. Show you understand the requirement and easily exceed it. So if you are employed, and in this case we are talking you don't have the high school certificate, you are basing your qualification on work experience. So you make sure you prove to the CO, the consular officer, that you really understand the role pertaining that job, and furthermore that you exceed the knowledge about that job. So if you are a plumber and you don't have the high school certificate, that job that you're doing in plumbing, you make sure that you provide documents, all these documents that we talked about. And number 2, make sure that the consular officer gets to know that you understand the job very well, even exceedingly. And then remember, it is subjective and you're supposed to be professional. This means that it is subject to the consular's judgment. So your work experience is subjective to the consular's decision. So if the consular is able to be convinced that you really are qualified, then he can make the judgment to give you the green card visa. But if you cannot prove enough that you really know about this work, or you have this work experience by these documents and showing exceedingly that you understand the job, then you might end up not getting the green card visa.